Hey folks, welcome to Macro Crazy, where I try to help you on your macro trading journey. This week was the first week in a few weeks that the market was net down. A lot of market moving events, a lot of items in the news. So let's start there. Benjamin Netanyahu is back as the PM of Israel. He's got a majority, and that will have an impact. You could look at defense companies. Obviously, Israel is a big purchaser of defense items from the U.S., and they do get U.S. taxpayer help for that. And number two is energy price support. So obviously, an attack on Iran is a possibility again. Iran probably will not have its sanctions lifted anytime in the near future. So basically, that's supportive of oil prices and something to keep in the back of your mind. Moving on, Wells Fargo is in the news because its loan volumes are getting absolutely crushed. And if you don't know, Wells Fargo is more dependent than any other bank, major bank, on mortgages for its revenues and profits. So its volumes are down 90%, and that obviously is major news. Obviously, it's a reflection of how poor the housing market is and people not buying homes, new homes, resales, nothing. So, moving forward, how can you play that? The home builders obviously have rallied a little bit along with the market. So, that's one avenue. Any key supports for home builders or the home building industry, like lumber, would be another option. While I don't cover a lot of crypto stuff, I do want to bring something to your attention. JPMorgan just completed its first cross-border DeFi transaction. Basically, it was between the Monetary Authority of Singapore and a company in Tokyo, Japan. It was for $100,000 Singapore dollars. Correction. So if you're interested in that space, that might be a sign of more. If central bank from Singapore essentially is looking into getting into that more. There's an old adage that says, "Where there's smoke, there's fire," and there's been a lot of rumors recently about China taking steps to open back up from the zero COVID lockdown policy, and it keeps bringing it into the news. And the Chinese yuan had its best day in decades. Something to keep in mind, because that would obviously be bullish for Chinese stocks and anybody who's a significant exporter to China. Okay, finally, on the lighter side of things, in the news, a whole bunch of news about Twitter and Elon Musk. Obviously, he bought that company very recently, and he's been making changes, firing all the censorship people, the executives. He fired apparently about 50% of the staff on Friday, and he's being sued for that. Apparently, violated the WARN Act. You have to give people like 60 days notice when there's mass layoffs, and then he's also having a advertiser boycott or semi boycott. So he's getting squeezed on all sides, and the EU is telling him he can't give freedom of speech to people. So a lot going on there. I don't know. I'm just glad I'm not him. Who knows what he's going to do? But it'll be interesting to watch moving forward. It's also a tough tech environment generally, so he's in a bit of a pickle. Okay, we had a bunch of data also on Thursday and Friday. Jobless claims, nothing too exciting there. Foreign trade deficit, not too exciting either. Productivity was a little disappointing. Unit labor costs were actually, that number was actually better than expected, but still upward trend. And the other numbers were not market moving. Friday, of course, was non-farm payroll day. That was a big number, better than expected, although the unemployment rate went up. So that's odd. Average hourly earnings better than expected. I think the participation rate in the labor force was actually down, and the Fed spoke. I'd be a little suspicious about those payroll numbers. You never know if that's a political number. And after the midterms, we could see big time down revisions. So I'm a little suspicious of that, but I guess time will tell if those were anywhere near the truth. Okay, to summarize, what would I look at coming up this week? Home builders, obviously, there might be an opportunity to head back down and make money on that, either on the short side, short term or medium term. Banks, when yields are in play, banks are always worth looking at. Exporters to China, if the rumors continue and steps continue to reopen, that's bullish. Europe is suffering, so I would be bearish, significant exporters to Europe. And because it was in the news, DeFi and crypto related stocks might get a bump up. So worth looking at.